I was born and raised in Newton, Massachusetts, in a Reformed Jewish home. I'm a big Red Sox fan. We have a series going on. Do you guys have a series going on? Ooh, just lost my audience. My mother was from an Orthodox Jewish home in Atlanta, Georgia. My father was from a Reformed Jewish home in Boston. And my father went to Emory. That's how I met my mom. And he wasn't about to have a kosher house, so I was raised in a Reform home. And but my father was a materialist. He believed when you were dead, you're dead. 6 feet under, that's it. Nothing else beyond the grave. But for some reason, that never resonated with me. I knew there was something more, something beyond the physical realm. And I guess I was always had a sort of a God consciousness in my life. But I remember at my bar mitzvah, two rabbis told me not to take the Torah literally, that it was just a series of stories to teach us lessons about life, and that the miracles weren't true and all the things weren't true. Then my confirmation rabbi, Rabbi Gittleson, Roman B. Gittleson, who was I think a Templeton Award winner, famous rabbi, he was teaching my confirmation class, and he was talking about God, and I didn't recognize the God he was talking about. So at the end of the class, I said, Rabbi Gittleson, can you explain who you understand God to be? And he basically described an impersonal force, and not the personal God of the Bible. And then I asked him later on, I said, Rabbi, why don't Jewish people believe that Jesus was the Messiah? And he said, well, I don't believe there's going to be a personal Messiah anyways, but the reason why Jews don't believe is because peace didn't come to the world when he came. And since there's no peace, he could not have been the Messiah. So in my mind, that settled it. Jesus couldn't have been the Messiah. Obviously, there is no peace in the world. But I had questions. I was a child of the 60s and the early 70s. And I went to the university with questions in my mind about why so much inhumanity between men. Intellectually, I wondered why there was so much hatred between people. Personally, I struggled with an emptiness in my own heart that I didn't really understand. I went to the university, and at the university, the professors said that the problem is that man is a social being and that society is corrupt. If we change society, then we can change people and we can make a better world. I bought into that for about 3 years, until I ended up doing a political internship in Washington, D.C. for a Massachusetts senator who I'll remain nameless right now. And I came away from my experience in Washington, D.C. with a change in my anthropology. I came away realizing that the problem wasn't in society. The problem was in the human heart. The problem was in my heart, that I had a problem. And I went back to college to finish my final year in school, and I started taking business courses because I had to eat and to make up for my idealism of the past 3 years. I was a social thought and political economy major in college. So I started taking accounting courses and management courses so I can get myself ready for the real world. But the questions that I came to the university with stayed with me. And I remembered a young man knocking on my door when I was a freshman in the dormitories. And I opened the door, and he said, I'd like to talk to you about establishing a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm Jewish. He said, that's okay, so is he. I said, that's true, come on in. He came in, he shared the gospel with me, and I thought he was a nice young man, but I thought he was nuts. I didn't understand grace at the time. But now I'm thinking about it. He challenged me to read the Old Testament, to read the Hebrew prophets. And I did. In my senior year now, I started to examine. I said I'd given up on man, and I started thinking, if there's no God, there's no hope. So I began examining my heritage, and I came across the prophecy in the 53rd chapter of Isaiah, and I said, what is Jesus doing in my Bible? And I became intellectually convinced that he was the Messiah, but I was scared to death to tell anybody at the time. I remained a secret believer for about a year. So don't be surprised if some of your Jewish friends are secret believers. And then on April 30th, 1980, at Temple Sinai in Marblehead, Massachusetts, on top of Community Hill, Jesus showed up in a marvelous way. And I've never been the same since. Praise God. Thank you. Please, thank you. Please be in prayer for the church plant in Brooklyn. We covet your prayers regarding that. And now Rachel tells me my time is over. Thanks, Rachel.